Welcome, everybody. I'm calling this meeting of the Newcastle City Council to order at 7 p.m. Today is Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. My name is Ariana Sherlock. I'm the mayor. This meeting is being streamed live and recorded on the city's YouTube channel for future viewing. Will you please rise and join me in the flag salute? City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Burford.
Here.
Councilmember Griffin.
Here.
Councilmember Villaseñor.
Here.
Councilmember Frost Blakely.
Present.
Councilmember Jacobs. Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Here.
And Mayor Sherlock.
Here.
All here.
Thank you. All right, next item is approval of tonight's agenda. Are there any requested changes or additions from council members? All right, seeing none, please show the agenda approved as presented. Now we will open the public comment period. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the council. When you come to the podium, please state your name and neighborhood for the record, and comments are limited to 3 minutes. No one signed up. Is there anyone online? Okay. Well then, since we have no one signed up, we will close the public comment period. So tonight we have a ceremonial presentation. We are recognizing Lunar New Year, and I would like to ask Councilmember Burford to read the proclamation celebrating Lunar New Year here in Newcastle, honoring the cultural traditions, community contributions, and diversity that strengthen our city. So, Councilmember Burford, are you ready?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Today is the first day of the Lunar New Year and also the Chinese New Year, also aka Spring Festival. According to the lunar calendar, today is the Chinese New Year Day, Lunar New Year Day. Proclamation, Lunar New Year Celebration 2026. Whereas Lunar New Year, also known as Spring Festival, spans several days of celebrations, commencing on the first new moon of the lunar calendar and concluding with the Lantern Festival on the 15th day. And whereas these celebrations are embraced by millions globally, including significant populations of Asian descent within the city of Newcastle, and are marked by vibrant customs, family reunions, and cultural events. And whereas Lunar New Year provides an opportunity for all residents of Newcastle, recognize the richness of cultural diversity, promote cultural understanding, and acknowledge the contributions of our Asian communities to the social, economic, and cultural fabric of our city. And whereas the city of Newcastle is proud to support the traditions and the cultural expressions that the Lunar New Year festivities bring to our community, enhancing our city's cultural tapestry and fostering a spirit of unity and celebration. Now, therefore, by it proclaimed by the City Council of Newcastle, Washington, that February 17th, 2026 to March 3rd, 2026 is hereby designated as Lunar New Year celebration in the city of Newcastle. We encourage all citizens to join in special observances, participating in and supporting Lunar New Year activities within our community, thereby fostering greater understanding and appreciation of our diverse heritage. Dated this 17th day of February 2026, City of Newcastle. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to council comments. Councilman Burford, would you like to start us?
Yeah, so I will just continue. As you see, we see that red couplet, which is very cultural in Asian culture. That many countries celebrate Lunar New Year. So just like best wishes and blessings to you all and to our family. So the meaning on the left, you say 大吉大利 means best of luck. On the right, it said in and out, peace and harmony. And I think it's really, really important to recognize and acknowledge the members of our community. And for me, as a Chinese American, I went to Olympia. I testified for Lunar New Year. And Lunar New Year has been recognized as our Washington State official holiday. And tonight, especially today, just happens we have a city council meeting. By tradition, it's a family reunion time. So people gather home from afar, far or near. They all get home and get together with their close ones and families. So I'm here. I just want to take this moment to wish each and every one of our Asian community and you all. So this is universal wish and universal love. So just really treasure and cherish the reunion time and also wishing the new beginning, especially this year, Year of the Horse. Every 60 years, based on the 5 elements, every 60 years, there are 12 animals times 5 elements. So that's why every 60 year, repeat fire horse. Fire horse symbolizes courage, encouragement, and bravery, also success and meaningful connections, and also taking lead. So I wish you all a really, really prosperous and a healthy and a happy Year of the Fire Horse. Thank you. Also, I want to share, so our Newcastle Lunar New Year celebration event. This will be our 4th annual citywide celebration. It takes a village. So our city, Amy George, and also Newcastle Arts Council, and also our friends of Newcastle Library, and the King County Library System in our city, Newcastle Library. We have been working together, busy planning for this event. I invite everyone. It's free for all ages. And please join us on March 1st, on Sunday, at the Risdon Middle School from 1 to 4. You will enjoy lion dance and a lot of festivities and good food and tea and everything. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Griffin?
No comment.
Councilmember Villasenor?
Thank you. I just want to congratulate Councilmember Burford on her efforts with regard to the Lunar New Year celebration. I was there the very first year. I think we were expecting a handful of people, and it turned into quite a large crowd. And we outgrew the space at Aegis, and year after year, it's just been an amazing event. Where people have come to celebrate the Lunar New Year. It got me thinking about how we as a community behind things like the Seahawks Super Bowl and the Olympics, these are things that just bring people together, put us on the same side of the line. And there are certainly ways that our community is working to get people together more often in a positive way. So if you check the city website, you'll see that the Activities Commission and the Arts Council are doing so much to make sure that we have events on a regular basis that we can participate in. I encourage people to check that list. I encourage people to participate because those events are really fun, and I hope to see you there as the year goes on. So you don't have to wait for good weather. We have them starting March 1st, so plenty to do, plenty to choose from. Thank you.
Councilmember Frost Blakely.
Yes, thank you so much. And one more website to take a look at, and that would be the Greater Newcastle Chamber website. They host quarterly an after-hours event, and we are lucky enough to have an after-hours event coming up this Thursday. So we'd love to see folks down at Locotron. You can register on the chamber website, and we will be down there from 4 to 6 o'clock, having a good time. And we will celebrate Lunar New Year as well, even though we are in a restaurant with slightly different food than you'll be serving on March 1st. Thank you.
Councilmember Jacobs.
Just want to welcome everybody this evening. Wish everybody a happy Lunar New Year as well. Ramadan Mubarak for those who celebrate, which starts tomorrow. Thank you again, everybody, for coming.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you. Congrats to the 29 athletes from both Hazen High School and Liberty High School, boys and girls, that'll be competing Thursday and Friday at the Washington Interscholastic Activities Athletic Association MAC Classic, the state wrestling championship. Really fortunate to be getting to coach a lot of them. And then on this upcoming Sunday, February 22nd at 9 a.m., I'm going to be doing a informal chat with one of our state representatives, Janice Zahn. So folks are welcome to come to that. I appreciate folks sharing that around. That'll be downstairs on the first floor. And we'll just be down there talking to folks and sort of as informal coffee if folks have any questions. So thank you.
Okay, for the mayor's report, just wanted to let everyone know that Deputy Mayor Charbonneau, City Manager Pingle, and I are working with the retreat facilitator to put together a good agenda. We're close to having a final agenda that we'll share with the rest of the council. Thank you to everybody for speaking with her and sharing your thoughts. I'm really looking forward to the council retreat. So that's going to be on Friday, February 27th at the YMCA. And the city manager and his directors will be joining us. I've also invited commissioners to join us near the end of the day when we'll be discussing the city goals and strategic plan. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to have dedicated time with the commissioners, so hopefully we can schedule more of that in the future. And I'll just end with wishing everyone happy Lunar New Year. And I look forward to being at the event on March 1st. Okay, moving on. Next, we will hear from Chief Mandela for our Q4 police report and 2025 year-end highlights. So, thank you for joining us, Chief Mandela. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Sherlock and Newcastle City Council for giving me the opportunity to present to you, excuse me, what I believe to be are some of the most key points in the quite lengthy police services report for 2025. In there, you can see the breakdown, how fourth quarter compared to third quarter. What I wanted to do today was kind of present the stats throughout the entire year and provide some insight that may not really be typed out or written in the police services report. When I'm through, you will have an opportunity to ask any questions. I brought with me Detective Ford and crime analyst Gloria Lara. They might have some insight even beyond that of mine to answer some of your questions tonight. Slide, please. Oh, thank you. I'm very proud to point out some of the numbers in this report. By and large, crime is down 31% across the board in the city of Newcastle in 2025 since 2024. Crimes against persons went down 29%, crimes against property are down 31%, and crimes against society down 33%. If those general topics don't make a lot of sense yet, I'll explain a little more as I'm moving on here. Crimes against persons. I apologize, I don't know why it formatted my patches to kind of block out the word crimes there. Crimes against person, kind of exactly as it seems, right? Assault, someone's getting hurt, a person is physically getting attacked, resulting in hospitalization, injury, unfortunately death. Talking about crime went down roughly 29% in crimes against persons, down in every category but two. I can't really talk about the percentages. I don't know what the percentage increase is in homicides there. We had unfortunate circumstance, 1 incident, 2 deaths in 2025. That's an increase from 0 in 2024. And then again, intimidation offenses went up by 7%. Intimidation offenses is a lot more than just kind of the old law and order, someone threatening someone not to testify against them. Threats are included in an intimidation offense, and the majority of the intimidation offenses that occurred in Newcastle in 2025 were threat cases, many of those involving people involved in a domestic relationship, a husband, wife, or people who are married. I'd love to see that sex offenses, of course, are down 33%. I think nationally and, of course, regionally, those are some of the crimes that are least reported. And so I think, you know, making sure that our police department can communicate openly with our public and share the importance of make the report. Even if folks don't want to necessarily be a victim or assist in prosecution, it's helpful for us to know when the crimes that happen. Again, crimes against person, here I'm simply just putting the line graph up. It's kind of showing you the trend over the past 7 years in the city of Newcastle with crimes against persons. 2022, I wasn't yet in the city of Newcastle. I've only been here since November. I don't know any of the specifics around that kind of surge in crime, but I think you'll see in some of the other line graphs, 2022 was a bad year, and I'm not sure if reporting was increased for one reason or another during that time, but that was also, of course, kind of the end of the pandemic. I think cabin fever was wearing off and people were suddenly coming out of their homes, taking off their masks, getting out, interacting again. So I think the criminal opportunity for some of the criminal players in society increased around that time. The downward trend since 2022 is certainly encouraging and one that we intend to keep going through the year of the fire horse. See how we do at the end. Crimes against property. Again, I think crimes against property kind of is easily identifiable. Up here under crime classification, these are the types of crimes against property that occurred in the city of Newcastle in 2025. As you can see, largely we're going downhill. I've kind of got that red Batman logo next to the statistic for residential burglaries. Residential burglaries show an increase of 61%. The line chart here in a little bit, I'll kind of show you the numbers still are not huge, and when numbers are small, you see any kind of increase, the numbers can get kind of large. Residential burglaries include more than just someone's private residence getting broken into. In this instance, in particular for 2025, one important statistic in that section of property crime, the residential burglaries, includes storage units in, say, an apartment complex. So if in one night we have one suspect break into 4 different storage units at the same address, but the 4 storage units are held by different tenants, that's 4 different crimes on that one night. A large number of the residential burglaries were exactly that in 2025. One individual was breaking into multiple storage units. That person was identified, and the numbers dropped for the remainder of the year since that time. And then robberies. What the heck? It went up 50%. Isn't hard to do when we had 2 robberies in 2024 and we have 3 this year. That's a 50% increase. A big 0 there, that's the number that, of course, we're going to aim for. But I still think these are numbers to be quite proud of. And I beg of you to understand, my intent is to do our part to make sure that PD is doing the part to keep the numbers as they are here. Larceny and auto theft. We'll talk about those for a little bit. They both went down compared to 2024, but I have the yellow Batman logo there for a slightly different reason. On the top there, you can see the line graph for crimes against property and how they've been trending over the past 7 years again. Since 2022, really since 2023, we see a downward trend, and we'll keep that going into 2026. The residential burglaries, again, talking about those storage units. So we had 18 residential burglaries, and then 20 in 2024, and then 29 in 2025. CJ, do we know how many of those were committed by that same suspect? Resbergs. Okay, so nine of those committed by the same one suspect. Auto theft, talk about that for a moment. I think I took seat as your proud chief of police the very, very end of October. In the month of November, there were 10 cars stolen in the city of Newcastle. That's a lot of cars for the city of Newcastle when you start comparing stats. Very proud to say, and I know I put something on the Facebook page. I know David Rose talked about it a lot on his Q13 spot. The flock cameras that were still active in the city at that particular time helped us to identify who the suspect was. Shortly after he tried to steal a resident's truck, that resident saw what was happening on his Ring camera, notified us right away, and we had some detective partners at a Precinct 3 King County Sheriff's Office who were able to access some of the LPR data from the flock cameras, and were able to confirm that it was the known suspect in the area. We flooded the area with detectives and drones and canines to get this fellow. It was about a 2.5-hour track that was very successful. That gentleman, I don't believe he is still in jail, but there has not been one car stolen in the city since his arrest. So those numbers went down, but I don't blame residents for, that was one of the first comments I got from residents as I started attending meetings was, what's going on with the auto thefts? And I'm proud to say that I heard them loud and clear, and me and my PD crew are doing everything in our power to keep those numbers nice and low. With regard to the larceny is just kind of a fancy FBI word for theft. There are all sorts of different types of larcenies. On here, I'm kind of noting shoplifting. 10 shoplift reports in 2025. I happen to have from some conversations with QFC and Safeway that those numbers don't necessarily accurately represent the actual amount of theft coming from the store. And I am communicating with them to let them know the importance of kind of getting those stats to us. We have a really hard time combating the crime and helping them with perhaps doing a shoplift emphasis if we don't have stats that Gloria can go through to kind of let us know what days of the week or this usually happen, what time of day. I can up staffing and we can do what we need to do there. So I'm working with the stores to get those, I'm urging them to make reports. The reality that I'm experiencing, and one that I'm trying to get the directors of these two grocery stores to understand, is that though they may have worked in another store in the region where shoplifts might have been much worse, shoplifts from these stores are unacceptable, period, and we want to do what we can do to limit those. So I'm going to continue to work with them specifically on those two stores because I know that's where the vast majority of the shoplifts happen. Theft from motor vehicle. There were 53 throughout the whole year. That seems like a lot. It's a lot, and I will say it's unacceptable, and I think we can do some more. I'll let you know there's only so much that PD is necessarily able to do there. We're required to have at least one officer on for a lot of days. We've only got one officer on at a time. There's 14,000 residents in the city, and that means probably close to 20,000 cars in the city, it almost seems. But I'm going to be working with block watch groups, and I'm going to be hosting some brief with the chief kind of events in the city to let them know what things that citizens can do to help us get that number back under control. Crimes against society. These are numbers to be very proud of. Having worked in a different region in King County where these numbers were very much higher. Crimes against society, what are those? Crimes against society most often involve weapons, drugs, and prostitution. These are crimes that some people will say, well, it's a victimless crime because the people doing drugs, they know what they're doing and they're doing it to themselves. But we call it crimes against society because that brings the welfare down of the society as a whole. And so these are things that we're trying to combat. One drug offense in 2025, that's awesome. And I can see on the street, healthy people are walking around with smiles on their face, and it's a happy thing to see. Weapons law violations, 3. That went down from the piddly 4 that happened in 2024. So the numbers are going down. Any number there is, I don't want to say upsetting, but we'd like to see those numbers even lower. And I think just through law enforcement interaction with the community, we'll be able to help get that point across. No prostitution offenses. Enough said. Crimes involving automobiles here, we're just talking specifically collisions and DUIs. 4 DUIs in the city. I think that's kind of awesome to see as a stat. I say that that does not accurately represent the number of drunk drivers that are on our roads, especially with all the increased traffic due to what's going on 405. So I've got some plans in 2026 to access some Washington State Patrol grant money to do some traffic emphases. And our traffic enforcement officer, Knight, has agreed once the school zones are done for the summer, he's going to shift his hours. We're going to try to make some more attacks late at night to keep the roads safe for everybody. Dispatch calls for service. So there were 1,589 dispatched calls for service. What that means is someone called 911 related to a crime in the city of Newcastle and an officer was dispatched. That number went down from 2024. Again, I think as a general statement, that is certainly a good thing. Again, I want to make sure that people are reporting anytime that there is a crime so we can help. But you can also see the green line on the very bottom. This is the alternative call handling. This is when a report might be taken over the telephone by the 911 call receivers in the communication center, or a report was made online over the telephone. These are always done when the crime is not in progress, a cold crime, as they say. Someone already broke in, I don't know who it was, there's no evidence. That's actually helping us when those reports can be made in a method that's different than dispatching an officer, especially when we only have one officer on at a time. We'd like that officer to be available to respond to in-progress calls. Self-initiated police on views. So this is when, like most of the day, on most days in the city of Newcastle, there are not a bunch of calls, 911 calls coming over the radio, so our officers are out in the community doing their own thing. Business checks, doing a park check, going out walking the trails, doing house checks when folks are on vacation. Those are what are considered on views. So we were dispatched to 1,500 plus crimes throughout the year, but we spent our time looking for crime on our own 4,050 times. Moving forward, in 2026, crime prevention is always going to be the key here in Newcastle. Crime prevention, not just at the hands of law enforcement, but at the hands of the community at large. We can't do it on our own. With one officer on a time, even if we have 4 officers on at a time at one point in the day, that's 8 eyeballs in the city. That's 4.5 square miles, which isn't gigantic, but it's too big for 8 eyes to adequately cover on their own. So we'll talk a lot about crime prevention and strengthening the block watch programs that are already in existence. I also want to point out, through speaking with our crime analyst, Gloria Lara, she let me know that the trends that we saw in Newcastle over the last year are mirrored regionally. So I'm very proud of the decrease in crime in Newcastle, but we're not the only ones doing the hard work in the county. Of note, however, I think it was like 44% less vandalism in this city than in a lot of other parts of the county, which is amazing. And I think, again, that kind of goes back to the geographic location. People don't accidentally drive through Newcastle. There might be a few more people doing that now because of the traffic on 405. But the people who live here love living here, and they take care of their stuff, and they don't obtusively take advantage and destroy other people's property. With that, I am proud and happy to take any questions that you might have on council.
Councilmember Jacobs?
One quick question? Or did you want to?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I just had a quick
Councilmember
question.
Pross Blakely?
Yes. I believe we had a program where you could register your home cameras with the police so you knew if a crime was committed in a neighborhood that you could reach out to us. Do you plan to instigate a program like that, or do?
Yes, that's
or
one
was-
of a few things that it's kind of on my table as I move in and start to get more comfortable and get the programs up and running. Yeah, I mean, quite simply, if we have, what I don't want is for anyone in the community to get nervous about, oh, I got to register, the police know, that I don't have access to people's cameras. The reason why police department likes to kind of have the registry in the community is such that if there is a crime in a specific neighborhood and we can immediately know, hey, these folks have already let us know that they have a Ring camera or they have some type of surveillance, we might know, then we know exactly where we can go first and start looking for more information. That is very, very helpful for our detective and for crime prevention as well. So yes, that is something that I intend to bolster as the year goes on.
Councilmember Jacobs?
I just want to first say thank you. I think you guys are doing an awesome job here in Newcastle.
Thank you, sir.
I think everybody on your staff is amazing and keep up the great work. I do have a question about the block watch groups.
Yes.
I think you're doing or planning to do some training with those different groups in each neighborhood. Is there a format for that, or do you have something in writing that you use?
I do. In fact, that's something that I was hoping to be able to present and even pass out to folks early in March. I'm still trying to schedule it, perhaps at Risden Middle School, to have kind of the first Brief the Chief public safety meeting for folks who are either in an already existing block watch program or folks who have interest in starting their block watch programs. I've reached out to existing block watch programs already to let them know, hey, spread the word. I don't have the date yet. I got to do the scheduling thing, and I'm working on that this week. And then I will also put that out on Facebook. But absolutely.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau?
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. First one out the way, so yeah, congrats to you there. Yeah, so it's good. I think this is a yes, but I just wanted to verify. The partnership with Project Be Free that former Chief Kajihiro started for our domestic violence cases, that's still an ongoing partnership with the city?
It is. In fact, I've got an all-city PD meeting with my staff in early March, and I have Project Be Free that's going to attend that briefing. So I've got, including myself, a couple of new officers in the city who are just learning what Project Be Free is and how they partner with and how they might differ from services that could be offered by our therapeutic response unit with the sheriff's office as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I heard our King County prosecutor, Lisa Banyan, speak recently, and she was actually raving about Project Be Free specifically, so I think that's great. And then, yeah, I'll just plug for folks too, if you, for the weapon violations, I think the local PD is great at handling that sort of thing. I was left with a firearm, I had no idea what to do with it, and they were super helpful and helped navigate, like, okay, here's what you do, here's what you don't do. So I think y'all provide great services there, and thanks for all the work you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
I don't see any other hands, so thank you so much, Chief Mandela.
you.
Appreciate the update. Okay, next on our agenda, are there any council committee reports? Councilmember Jacobs?
Happy to report we had our first Salary and Benefits Committee meeting today with Mayor Sherlock and Councilman Griffin. We went through a number of topics. We'll be meeting now on a monthly basis, which is new for the committee. We talked about part-time employee benefits. We talked about the HR director and city clerk positions. We talked about citywide salary and benefits survey and benefit and exempt structure. So those are kind of the things we're going to be working on coming up for from the Salaries and Benefits Committee. And apparently I got elected chairman today of the committee. So I'll be doing the reports in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council committees? Yes, Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you. Economic and Community Development Committee will meet a week from tomorrow, February 25th. It'll be the fourth Wednesday of every month at 4:30 p.m. With myself, Councilmember Burford, and Councilmember Frost Blakely. So we're looking forward to that. That is one that anyone in the public is welcome to attend to. We're in the front room at City Hall. So
Thank you. Any regional committee reports? Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
thank you. So I attended Sound City Association Public Issues Committee, which is the large regional group collective on February 11th. It was our first meeting of the year, so folks got acquainted. There are 62 new elected council members and mayors in the King County region and 17 new mayors in total. So they all work to get it to council. They do what's called now crib notes, which is kind of a higher level overview of the issues that are discussed. They send it to us the Friday after the meeting, which is coincidentally after our agenda comes out. So I'll talk with city staff about the best way to get those distributed. But just sort of everyone, and then we got a presentation from Northwest Immigrants' Rights Project that I'll send out too, and hopefully that can be public record. And it was talking about immigrant rights in shifting legal landscape, and just sort of talked about what that organization itself does as well. So, thank you.
Any other regional committee reports? Councilmember Burford?
Yeah, so with the Salmon Recovery Council, we went to Olympia for the Salmon Day. We met with legislators and we had our talking points. Just advocate for more funding for our protecting our salmon and environment and for green air. And it was such a packed day, but it was really, really, so over 80 people from the state all went there. Such a collective effort because due to the budget cut, and that was before the cutoff day. And so great collaboration, and I'm very proud to be part of the great team. Yeah, thank you.
Any other regional committees? Okay, we do not have any written reports from commissions tonight, so we'll move on to city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. A couple of things. With the help of Deputy Mayor Charbonneau, we've been in contact with our school districts. Renton School District we've gone back and forth a couple of times, looking at possibility of doing a joint study session with the Renton School Board. I threw out the possibility of them joining us for a study session before one of our regular meetings. That was super selfish to make sure we could just have our thing. They said that was a possibility potentially for March 17th, and so looking at doing a joint study session with the Renton School Board. They join us here for maybe a 6 p.m. joint study session. They did ask about potential agenda items. And so 2 things of feedback from the council that we'd like to get back to the Renton School Board is, do we like March 17th for that? And are there agenda items that we want to propose to them? Or it can certainly be more general as far as getting to know the Renton School Board and more general topics, but want to get the council's feedback on those 2 things.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, so there used to be sort of an annual meeting and then it became dormant and died off. I think one, just definitely like introductions, we all get to know each other, and sort of any connection we might have to those schools. And I think as well, just definitely a agenda item on, what are potential points of collaboration. We can talk, there's obvious ones in terms of, we have 2 Renton School District schools within our city lines, but also a lot of folks that go attend Renton schools, and everything from holding town hall, obviously at the local Renton School District Middle School, but also just other opportunities for collaboration, and hopefully they would, have things too that I'm not even aware of or are good ideas. So I think ideas exchange is a big part, introducing to each other. I'm open to other ideas folks have too, so.
Councilmember Frost
Yeah,
Blakely?
I would be in strong favor of it as well. I think it's very important to work in a collaborative manner with our school districts. I would also encourage us to think about adding Issaquah School District, a similar type of an outreach could be made to them. And in particular, I remember many years ago trying to understand that when I was involved with the PTSA, the future plans of the school districts, right? And I think it's very important to understand what they're planning to do. And schools across our country are in very stressful situations, so if there's any way we can help support them and make sure that we maintain very strong schools in our city, I think that would be a good thing. Thank you.
Councilmember Burford?
Yeah, I'm in strong support of this collaboration, and also truly we need to know how we can support and work with our local schools. And I heard that other cities, during their council meetings, they did invite the local school board, and they also set aside time. They had a joint meeting. I think we also we should pursue that as well. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau?
I was going to say, as a point of clarification, we did reach out to Issaquah School District as well, and we're going to work on getting that scheduled as well. This one was just moving a little bit faster, so that is, fully intent.
I think the only thing that I was thinking about is, I know we're scheduled to have a discussion on generators next meeting, but part of that, we were talking about broadening that to just emergency management and preparedness, and so if that's appropriate to bring up that subject with them, I think it might be a good agenda item.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions for the city manager? Anything else, Mr. City Manager?
Yes. So the other one was, we had, at our last meeting, we had Thomas Boydale here from United Hub, and he talked to us about the potential EV charger projects. I just wanted to get any feedback from council on information or additional discussion that you'd like to have before we bring the license agreements back for approval. I tried to provide some clarification on why the locations and how the project kind of came to be in my last Friday update, and I just wanted to get any feedback on moving forward with those, or discussion that you'd like to have previous to that before we bring those back to the council.
Any thoughts, questions from the council? Everybody good to move forward with bringing that to the council when we can? Okay. Is that what you need?
And that's great. And the last one is, I just want to introduce Josh Malkin, our new Public Works Director. He started Monday, February 9th, so into week 2. He came back over the long weekend, so we're excited about that. We've done a couple of brain dumps with him, and so he's drinking out of the fire hose a little bit, but wanted to give him an opportunity to introduce himself a little bit. We've bragged about his background a bit over the last several months, and want to give him the opportunity to talk about himself just briefly.
See if I can turn the mic. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Really happy to be here. Again, Josh Malkin. Just finished up, almost done with day 6. So anyway, things are going really well. So a little bit about me, and again, not to echo what Scott said before. So I'm got 2 degrees in civil engineering. I was in the Navy for a long time, public works, facilities, and construction management for about a little over 21 years. Then finished that first career, worked for the federal government in the DC area after I retired or transitioned from the Navy. Again, facilities, public works, construction management, and finally got the opportunity to do really what I wanted to do, was come here to the Puget Sound area. Really public works, again, in my career, this is really all I've kind of ever wanted to do is Public Works. I really enjoy it, and I enjoy this type of environment. Really appreciate the opportunity to come and work here and be part of this organization, and just happy to be here and looking forward to it, and a lot of great things ahead. So with that, I will yield to the agenda.
I think we're a little crazy. We're actually a little less formal maybe than what you're used to. So, like it.
That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, City Manager Pingle. All right, next up is the consent agenda. So these items are considered routine and are approved with one motion unless a council member requests that an item be removed or separate discussion. Are there any items council would like removed from the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, the consent agenda is approved as presented. So there are no public hearings this evening, and we have no unfinished business. So we're on to general business. First up is item 12.1, resolution adopting the 2026 City of Newcastle Parks and Trails Plan. And I believe we have Brendan. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Mayor, council, appreciate all the time. I haven't met all of you. I think I've met just about everyone, but welcome, new council members. Pleasure to get up here and speak with you all again. My name is Brendan Hutchins. I'm sorry, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, so if I'm clearing my throat, I apologize. But my name is Brendan Hutchins. I'm the Parks and Trails Planner here at the City of Newcastle, and tonight I'm going to be running through the 2026 Parks and Trails Plan. So, what is this plan? The 2026 Parks and Trails Plan is our planning framework that does three key things. The first is it maintains, and probably the most important, is it maintains our RCO, which is the Recreation and Conservation Office grant eligibility. So the RCO offers a library of different grants that we're able to apply to, and we're required every 6 years to provide a Parks and Trails plan in some form to the RCO to maintain that eligibility. It consolidates our existing planning work. So you'll see as I'm working through my presentation that there's a handful of different master plans and the comprehensive plan, which we conveniently finished recently, into one document, and really showing how my Parks and Trails Division plans to take that framework into the future. And then in that same vein, it sets our data and community feedback driven direction, which I'm going to go through here. So as I mentioned, it's building on a completed, some of the completed works. So the 2025 comprehensive plan, which was adopted last year, which has established a citywide vision and policies and equity focuses for parks. And one of the key features is the adoption of the 10-minute walk shed, which again, I'm going to get into in here in a minute. The 2009 Park at 95th Master Plan. So it's a long-term vision for athletic facility development that we have been working recently in procuring more feedback on and taking that kind of into the new era here and figuring out what direction we want to go with that. And then lastly, the 2016 Lake Bourne Master Plan, which is a phased guided approach to how we develop Lake Bourne Park. So as I mentioned, one of the main key tools is the 10-minute walk shed analysis, which was adopted in the 2025 comprehensive plan. So you can see on the right there a little snip of our most current walk shed. So we've been working with our consultants on developing what you see in blue is the current walk shed, and the yellow is our future walk shed, and that future walk shed is based off of projects that we have in the pipeline right now. So that just gives a quick snapshot of the direction that we're going and more of the coverage that we're going to be getting with our walk shed. I probably should have mentioned this before I got into that, but what is the walk shed? The walk shed measures whether residents can reach a park within a 10-minute walk. So just trying to provide that level of service throughout the community. This is going to be a key tool for us moving forward, and is something that we're going to just continue to adopt as we come online with new projects. And I'll show you a little bit later on how this tool can be utilized with a quick example. Yeah, prioritize trail and connectivity projects and really moving beyond anecdotal decision making. Honestly, the anecdotal decision making has gotten us really far. As you can see, majority of the city is already pretty well covered in terms of 10-minute walkshed. But you know, there's still some gaps, and we can make more dedicated directional changes through this tool. So. And then the other prong of this approach is the community input shaping our direction. So from surveys and tabling events and advisory committees, we've heard back a handful of items. Kind of the 4 key ones that I've noticed are a strong support for trails and improved connectivity between parks and neighborhoods, continued demand for athletic fields and active recreation opportunities, an emphasis on preserving natural areas and environmental features, and interest in improving walking and trail access to parks. So kind of summarizing what I just spoke about there, it's really a 2-pronged approach here. Or the Parks and Trails Plan really takes a 2-pronged approach. The, sorry, 2-pronged approach. Say that 10 times fast. The data analysis and then the community feedback. So data analysis comes in the form of, again, the 10-minute walkshed, any access gap identifications and level of service analysis that really we can find through that 10-minute walkshed mapping. And then community feedback, which come in the form of public surveys, community tabling events, advisory committee inputs, so CAC, stakeholder coordination, so Newcastle Trails, Newcastle Historical Society, and then public meetings. So those combined are going to guide our capital improvement plan and grant applications. So how this plan is used. 1, again, RCO grant eligibility. It unlocks a large library of grants. 2, capital planning tool. So you're probably familiar with me coming up here in usually around July and walking through some of those capital projects that we have in the pipeline, the Parks and Trails projects. So, you know, this plan will help figure what we're going to be putting on those, or on that plan. The implementation of framework translates adopted plans into phased and fundable projects based off of the information we're getting from these master plans and community feedback and the data analysis of the walkshed. You know, we can figure what phases we want to conquer on what master plan at certain times. And then policy alignment, so really ensuring that everything that we're doing is still, all the projects that we plan on doing still boil down to what those goals and priorities are in the comprehensive plan. So putting it into action, like I mentioned earlier, just a handful of examples of how these can be completed. So LOS-related projects or level of service-related projects, an example of that would be, let's say the walkshed analysis shows an access gap as it does right now. We can locate that access gap and prioritize trail connections, sidewalk connections, or even new parks in the underserved areas to help fill that gap. And we can run all of that analysis prior to committing to a project. So we can work with the consultants on saying, if we added a trail here, would that relieve this level of service gap that we're seeing in a certain neighborhood? And then Park at 95th Development is another example. So I put out a brief survey over the holiday with survey that showed a demand for athletic fields. So, you know, obviously this is a pretty obvious scenario, but any feedback that we get back in a strong direction really gives us a good direction for phasing and focuses on, you know, certain developments. And then another example would be Lake Bourne improvements. So we have the master plan of Lake Bourne, and you know, with the walkshed, we can devise, or we can decipher what access might change some of the level of service required to get people to Lake Bourne, and that could point us towards you know, doing phase 2 of the northern turnaround versus phase 3 of the Esplanade, or, you know, just throwing out examples. So, you know, just some examples of how this plan can be put into action. And just a reminder too, that this is a living, evolving framework. So this plan is designed to be flexible and responsive. You know, we're not really putting anything in concrete here. You know, as the walkshed is flexible in how we put in certain conditions to see how parks or trails might adjust that. The plan is adjustable in that, you know, as we decide what might be a data-driven priority versus a community feedback priority, that the project is, or our plan, the Parks and Trails plan is flexible. So it's really, this slide is really just a disclaimer that we're not locking ourselves really into anything. It's just a framework of the direction we want to go with what we have available to us. So what are the next steps? Fingers crossed, adopt tonight, February 17th, 2026. Submit to the RCO for grant eligibility by March 2nd, and then begin grant applications for our priority projects. Those are, the grant applications are open now, and depending on the grant, they're going to be open for the next, I think, 1 to 3 months. And then use this as a foundation for future planning and implementation. That's all I have. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the council or comments? Councilmember Burford?
Yeah. Thank you for your presentation, and I heard your comment. Yours is a living, evolving framework. The plan is adjustable, and so we can see. Talking about the Lake Bryan Park, any update about the promenade? I know Newcastle Trails, they have been working hard to promote that project. They also mentioned about the RCO grant they would like to pursue. Any update?
No, it's not currently on the CIP. That can change as we progress, you know, here getting into setting priorities and trying to see what, you know, based off of our Parks and Trails plan, what direction we want to go. And that can be a conversation that we have in the coming months as we're leading into the kind of Parks and Trails CIP season.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Wilson here.
Thanks for the presentation. Is the feedback loop still open for Park at 95th? Is that link still available for people, or is that one closed?
I've closed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there going to be any other additional
Yes.
avenues for feedback on that?
There's none right now, but we do want to. We definitely need more feedback. We got about 408 responses, which isn't bad based off of, you know, a social network or a social media push. So, you know, we definitely want to get some more feedback prior to committing to, you know, building out a massive project there. But what we did get back was really helpful, and we'll be sure to put everything out in the future in as many means as we can.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you. Thank you, Planner Hutchins. The sort of the need analysis, the 10-minute, can I walk to a park in 10 minutes? Was that something that you implemented? Was that sort of a existing framework we had been following as a city?
As far as I know, this was a recent development, right? Yep. So this was recently adopted in the 2025 comprehensive plan. It wasn't anything that we were using. I will say what's in the comprehensive plan now has been evolved in working with our community development team and our consultants on that map that you see now. So it is, when we all saw the power of it and we actually saw those big gaps on the map, it's just we really wanted to latch on and move forward with that as kind of our direction.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, because I love it. I think it's a great framework. I think it's easy for us as to legislate like things that we're thinking about and we live near. But I know it makes a big difference because I know we're the 4.4 square miles, but it's a very spread out 4.4 square miles, and even the maybe the smaller parks on certain parts where kids can't walk to. I think that makes a big difference for them. And not seeing other questions, I would also move to adopt. Other questions? Okay, sorry.
Sorry, Councilmember Ross Blakely. Oh,
I'm sorry, give me 1 minute to ask a question, Councilperson. I have a quick question in that I do live in one of the worst gaps, kind of a park desert over there on the far west side of Newcastle. And now that you're seeing these little park deserts, will you be opening up an outreach program to the residents there to get their ideas on what they'd like to see, or will you be taking a look at potential land that could be utilized for these kind of parks? And kind of what is the timetable for those next steps?
I don't know exactly what the timetable would be off the top of my head right now, but we are absolutely, as we progress the walkshed and kind of hone in on those areas, that's our whole plan is to dive into each of those sectors. You're right, the West is definitely one of those areas. And so trying to find what lots are ours already that might be vacant and kind of ripe for a new park, or what trail connections could we make to try and connect it to parks in the city, or even having to get creative if there's some sort of stormwater collaboration we could do to try and make some sort of park. There's going to be some creativity, especially in some of those harder areas where a lot of the west side is quite steep, so we ideally aren't building a park on a hillside, but if we have to get creative, we can figure something out. But to answer your question, that is absolutely part of the plan. I'm sorry I can't give you a timeline right now, just because we're still kind of working through some of the kinks with the walkshed map as well, and making sure that we add the parks that we think should be included, and some of those really small parks that should not be included are taken out. And then moving into that next phase, which will probably be, I can tell you kind of the next development of the walkshed phase or map would be likely in Q2 here, so approaching, yeah.
Right. I would just say, so the walkshed is brand new, and so it's something that it'll be a new thing that starts to inform the city council's 6-year CIP discussions with Parks and Trails, and so it's one of those that we just adopted, so having it as part of our discussions is coming.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, and if you can't answer this now, that's fine, but I'm just curious about the park at 95th with the feedback that you've received so far. How are you feeling about, do we really need to start over from that I know that master plan is very old, or are you hoping are you working with the CAC, or are we hoping to bring in or create, a community group that you can work with? I just don't, where's your head with that? If you can answer it, where's your head with that right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So based off the feedback that we got back, again, 408 responses, but generally all in the same direction of they like the direction. So maybe there's some of the minor things on there, like there's a dog park on there that was originally envisioned prior to a dog park being envisioned at Lake Boren. So, a handful of small kind of niche things that were on there that weren't very popular, but I'd say by and large, from what we received with the responses, they wanted the same direction as what was on there. Again, there's a handful of ways that we can approach and plan to approach the park at 95th, and how we phase out that project, I think, is going to be key. If we are seeing what people want is an athletic facility, then we can prioritize getting that portion of the project completed. And some of those not oddball, but other side projects can be completed in separate phases as we progress. Again, similar to what the city manager was just mentioning, that this is going to be very much an ongoing conversation, and it is something that I have spoken with the CAC about, and plan on likely not adopting, but maybe setting up some sort of committee within the CAC to help drive some of that. Just, that's nothing set in stone, but it's something that I've discussed with Amy George before. So, you know, a handful of directions, and I will be leaning heavily on both the CAC and you all within the next coming years to develop some of these. It's a 2009 plan, and then we have two big master plans that I personally really want to get completed. I'm sure all of you want to get completed, and the community wants to get completed. So, what's going to help me is, I have my Parks and Trails plan and all these tools now, but really, for me to be able to deliver that information to you all, so you can provide feedback to me on what direction to go with, my CIP and whatnot. So, I hope that answered your question. But I'm more than happy to talk, future steps with it, and I know there's going to be more conversations to come.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Were you wanting to make a motion, Deputy Mayor?
I move to adopt resolution number 2026-1084, adopting the 2026 City of Newcastle Parks and Trails Plan.
Seriously. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 2026-1084, adopting the 2026 City of Newcastle Parks and Trails Plan. Do you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Planner Hutchins, for all your hard work.
And would you like to speak to your second? Okay. That will move on with the vote. So all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Okay, now we're on to item 12.2, ordinance adopting critical areas ordinance update. I believe Director Fitzgibbons will be speaking to this.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me back after the study session last meeting. I am going to warn you that I am in a class about giving presentations right now, and I'm trying some of these out tonight. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to keep it brief and hope it goes well. Anyway, I'll take feedback after the meeting. Okay, so we spoke about last time, we talked about how this project started in about May of 2025, and we started outreach last summer. We spoke about how there were 8 substantive changes to the critical areas code. 3 of those had the most comments, and I'm going to recap those now. The first that I'm going to talk about is the exceptions for rebuilding on fully covered sites. So as in this example that you can see here, if a home is completely covered by one of these buffers for, let's say, a stream, they would be able to rebuild in the existing location of the house and even expand up to 500 square feet, so long as the expansion doesn't get any closer to the critical area than the existing home already is. So for example, this home could build out 500 square feet here, so long as it doesn't go beyond the roof line that you see on the left side of the screen. Talking about reinstating building setbacks, we had building setbacks for critical area buffers until 2016. Then those were removed, and then we noticed that homes were being built right up to the critical area buffers, which then meant people had to encroach into their critical area buffers to improve their structures. So we proposed bringing those back. and they are proposed still today. We also talked about how the city must use best available science to develop its standards. Notably, we spoke about streams and the best available science that came from the Department of Fish and Wildlife. The recommendation for the stream buffers, as the best available science had changed, was a model that increases the minimum distance from a stream, unfortunately. As you can see here, here's the current code and the proposed code, but it's also based on best available science, which means it's defensible. So here you can see a type F stream, which is fish bearing. Current code is 100 feet. The proposed code is 150 feet. For a type N stream, the best available science stated that it should not be less than 100 feet. So that is what we are proposing. That recommended model that we're proposing affects fewer parcels than the tree height model, which was the guidance that was given by the Department of Fish and Wildlife. So here, if you recall from last time, we looked at those bar graphs and it showed the difference between the different models. Here's the difference between the recommended predicted model and the tree height model, and the estimated percent of any parcel near a stream that might be covered by a buffer, so 5 to 20% in this first line. For example, we expect 70 parcels in the predictive model to be covered by a buffer, 92 parcels under the tree height model for a difference of 22. And that is my brief recap from last time's meeting. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Councilmember Villaseñor?
Just a quick reminder that, to me, how much of this whole effort is proposed by the state, right?
It's required, yes.
And it is required by the state. And our actions we're taking tonight are pretty close to the minimum requirement that we have to take.
Yes,
I mean,
I would say so. So most of what the changes that are in there are based on updates to the code. And then I would say the one that maybe isn't required by the state, but definitely a lot of agencies have provided positive comments on, would be the 10-foot building setback.
thank you.
Councilmember Jacobs? Oh, no. Anyone else? Thank you for the presentation. Is there a motion?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance 2026-683 Critical Areas Ordinance Update as presented.
I second.
Okay. All right. So I heard Councilmember Frost Blakely motion and Councilmember Griffin second to adopt ordinance 2026-683 Critical Areas Ordinance Update as presented. Would you like to speak to your motion, Councilmember Frost Blakely?
Just, I am satisfied with the hard work that the Planning Commission put into this and you as well. Thank you very much. I am voting in the affirmative of this, and my property is heavily affected by this restrictions. So I've got skin in the game, so to speak, but I'm still very much in favor of it and protecting our environment.
Great. Councilmember Griffin, anything to add? Okay. With that, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Okay, now we're on to item 12.3, adoption of ordinance 2026-682, 2025 housekeeping code amendments. And I think it's back to Director Fitzgibbons or Planner Cole.
Yeah, I will introduce, for those of you who haven't met, Associate Planner Tyler Coyle. He's going to give you a presentation tonight.
Thanks, Erin. All right, so I'm here to hopefully briefly discuss the 2025 housekeeping ordinance. So what is housekeeping? These are minor updates to city code. They fix logical inconsistencies, they remove outdated terms, they maintain consistency with state law.
They keep the code logical over time and remove bloat. And a critical thing about these housekeeping ordinances is that they are not meant to substantially change any city policy, and it's an annual update. And so this will be the 2025 version. So what are we looking at this year? We've got about 30 proposed changes across 4 categories. Those are coming from the Department of Commerce comments, clear and objective design standards, general code cleanup, and illegal code, which I'll get into now. So the Washington Department of Commerce had some concerns that state requirements were not reflected in city code. This is something they told us after the comp plan. Their concerns, we thought that did not all require action. I think some of them just were misinterpretations or things that were addressed in other parts of the code that they hadn't seen. But there were a few minor things that we wanted to address. So one of those were to add on explicit limitations on impact fees for early learning facilities, that they could not be higher than for any other use. Our code is silent on that right now. They are already not higher, and so there was no policy change there. So housekeeping was a good place for that. They also wanted to make sure that our code included a process for checking against regulatory takings. We did include one of those. That's something that we would be on the lookout for anyway, to keep with the theme of this is not really a policy change. It's just now going to be enshrined in a piece of code. They also wanted an explicit rule against failing septic systems that could pollute waters of the state. Our nuisance code already would give us the tools to go after such a failing septic system, but it would be more about the impacts of that failure as opposed to directly the failure. So this just essentially rectifies that and allows us to address it directly to Commerce's liking. The last one is really a whole section which is the clear and objective design standards. So the state passed a law, I guess about 2 years ago now, that clear and objective is something that all of our design review processes need to have. So a reader needs to be able to look at your code, rationally interpret it, and come up with a realistic understanding of what it means. So we can't have words like inherently subjective, building entrances should be celebrated, and uninteresting box-like should not be phrases within our design guidelines. And these were actual instances from our urban design guidelines. And so we went through and looked for those pieces that were inherently subjective, and reworded them so that their intent was still accomplished, even as we now move to some defensible text that you could actually enforce. There may need to be, at some point down the line, we may need to look at those design standards in a more holistic sense, but that's really getting beyond what housekeeping can do. So we had 7 instances of those included in here. So the last one's general code cleanup. So these are general, just logical inconsistencies obsolete code, just things that don't add up when you look at them. And so one of those was our planned unit development code had gotten a little off kilter in reaction to a past code update that essentially made the open spaces very challenging to meet, and we're essentially restoring the intent of code. Specifically, we're making the available space to build in a planned unit development net of critical areas rather than gross, which probably sounds like nothing right now, but it changes the PUD from nearly unworkable to reasonable per its original intention. So we wanted to update references to obsolete building and fire codes. The Uniform Fire and Building Code have each been retired for over a decade, nationally and in the city, and yet we still have some old references to those. So we hunted down and terminated them. We have a non sequitur native vegetation reference that is in our tree retention code that truly seems to be neither here nor there, and so we're hoping to get rid of that particular one. And then we also had urban design visioning for sub-areas that have been successfully redeveloped. So the urban design guidelines specifically for the Newcastle Commons specifically were largely achieved. And now we think it's time to essentially sunset those clauses within the code. And so yeah, updating definitions to clarify interpretation, matching state law, and removing redundancies. And the last one is that a new state law now restricts cities from regulating building cladding materials on the facade. It's quite specific, and so I went through our design guidelines and found 3 instances where we did that, and we'll remove those. So that's that.
Thank you. Any questions for Planner Coyle? Okay, great. You guys are easy tonight. Is there a motion? Councilmember Ross Blakely?
First, thank you again. Excellent presentation. I don't know if your new class had anything to do with this, Director Fitzgibbons, but thank you very much. It was very concise, but very informative. Very clear what we are making a change to. I move to adopt ordinance 2026-682, 2025 housekeeping amendments as presented.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilmember Frost Blakely, seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau to adopt ordinance 2026-682, 2025 housekeeping amendments as presented. Would you like to speak to your motion or your second?
Just to say that I'm sure a great deal of hard work went into this review of our code. It's a very lengthy, last time I dealt with it, binder of information or binders. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Okay, with that, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you so much. All right, now we're on to item 12.4, adoption of ordinance approving a non-exclusive franchise with Hyperfiber of Washington LLC. City Manager Pingle.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening again, Council. At the last meeting, we talked through this franchise agreement. It's very similar to the previous couple that we've done. As far as new telecommunications franchises coming into the city, we're very excited about having options. And so at this meeting, the second reading and adoption is before you. Happy to take any questions.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
I think, do we have a Hyperfiber representative in the audience? Yeah, I would just invite them to the podium if they want to speak, because they came to interview.
You're welcome to share anything if you'd like to.
Now it's red. Okay, I'll just say hello. My name's Mitzi McMahon. We're Hyperfiber doing business as Ripple, and I'm just appreciative of how quickly this has processed and how wonderful it's been to work with staff. And I'm happy to see there's a new public works director, so I'll stick around and say hello. But now I have much more to say other than thank you, and I'm available if anyone has questions after or now.
Any questions from the council? Okay, thank you. Is there a motion? Councilmember Villasenor?
Thank you. I move the adoption of ordinance 2026-684, approving and granting a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise with Hyperfiber of Washington, DBA Ripple Fiber.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Villasenor and seconded by Councilmember Burford to adopt ordinance 2026-684, approving and granting a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise with Hyperfiber of Washington, DBA Ripple Fiber. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I just think that competition and extra choices in this area is good for our city. Glad people are interested in doing business here in Newcastle.
Would you like to speak to your second?
So I'm excited to see this new opportunity, and thank you. Yeah.
Great. With that, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right. Now we're on to our last general business, item 12.5, adoption of ordinance to accept artwork donation. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. So part of the reason we brought to you a donation, an artwork donation resolution last meeting was because we had received a proposed donation. And so this is that proposed donation for the Mosaic Progress flag. It's being donated by Cheryl Smith. And it was put together, I believe, with several people at Newcastle Days last year. And so they offered it up to the city if we wanted it. And we didn't have a way to accept it. And so that's why we brought to you the donation policy last meeting.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau?
Yeah, thank you. I'll just add, I think this is the second year Cheryl has done this at Newcastle Days. The mosaic from the previous year is at our library, I believe, currently still there. And then I talked with Cheryl on the phone earlier today. She was really grateful and appreciative of the opportunity and excited to fill out the form. So happy to take questions on this if folks have it. I know this was a project I was leading on, but yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Burford?
I move adoption of Ordinance 2026-685, accepting the donation of artwork and authorizing the city manager to execute the deed of gift.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Councilmember Burford, seconded by Deputy Mayor Charbonneau. That's going to trip me up every time. To adopt Ordinance 2026-685, accepting the donation of artwork and authorizing the city manager to execute the deed of gift. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I think this is really to showcase, artist work and invite future artists to shine and to show their artwork with the community. I think this is such meaningful community engagement. So I look forward to seeing the artwork, meaningful artwork. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Charbonneau? All right, with that, we will take it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, now next on our agenda is additional public comment. So we will now open the second public comment period. And when you come to the podium, please state your name and neighborhood for the record. And comments are limited to 3 minutes. Has anybody signed up? Nobody signed up. Nobody online? All right. Well, with that, I guess we will close the second public comment period. And now we will talk about our planning calendar. City Manager Kendall.
Thank you, Mayor. First up is the City Council retreat next Friday. As Mayor Sherlock said, we'll get additional information as far as agenda out to the council. We have on for March 3rd a study session to talk about generators. And then we have our capital facilities plan to put in front of you, along with potentially our EV charging stations. Really, that comes down to just timing. The United Hub made the initial proposals on the license agreements, and so they weren't really written in a municipal way. And so City Attorney Chambers is making adjustments to that so that they make sense for us. And we'll go from there. I'll happy to take any questions.
Deputy Mayor Charbonneau.
Thank you. And I know Chief Mandela is still here. So I know the March looks a little light, I know, so for the, at this current stage, I see the KCSO therapeutic response. Potentially, I would love to do a resolution or ordinance or whatever makes sense in support of that and for posterity's sake. I think if maybe we'd want to do it at one of those meetings. I guess if it's, I guess the resolution and the study session don't necessarily have to align was kind of what I understood, given like it's already underway. If that makes sense, and then those folks I know are happy to come and present to us at any time. So if it makes sense to move up earlier, I'm not sure, but.
I think that's fairly simple to do. It really just depends on when we want to invite them. With the therapeutic response unit, and Chief Mandela can speak to it if we need him to, but I don't think we need necessarily a study session for that. I think it would be nice to receive some information, I don't know that's something that we need to spend half an hour or 45 minutes as far as study session goes.
Yeah, and I think it could obviously just be like guests coming to present, and they said 15 minutes. I know there's probably, I would account for more than that with questions and all that, but okay, got it. We'll be in touch with them then and see if any time in one of the 2 March meetings makes sense. So, thank you.
Councilmember Burford?
Yeah, as we talk about the calendars, I'd like to just give a big shout out from our city manager's report. So you mentioned about Newcastle Historical Society, their work party on Valentine's Day on the 14th. I joined them, and really, so many volunteers showed up. I just want to give a special shout out to Newcastle Scouts, Eagle Scouts, with the leader, William Berries, and also our Newcastle resident. Her name is Drusilla, and she has lived in Newcastle for 20 years. So she first volunteered with the Historical Society, and she has been volunteering in our community several times. And really, now if you go there, take a visit. Also our Newcastle pioneer, Steve Baima. He also worked tirelessly and provided his truck and also warm ciders and to welcome people. We also met with Newcastle residents. They also had a visit at the cemetery. So several hours work. I think they began from 10 until after 2:30. It was a gorgeous day, also such a clean space now. I just want to thank them.
Councilmember Jacobs?
I'd like to add a topic for discussion either at the next March 3rd meeting or the 17th to speak on the topic of the potential for an ICE facility in Western Washington, which may or may not include Newcastle, but I think we need to have a discussion on what our options are if that's presented to us.
Is that something you need more direction from us, or?
No, what we need the most is a second, so that we can add it to the planning calendar.
I'll second that. I would just like to say that one of the things that we'll be talking about at the retreat on February 27th is there have been several suggestions on updating our operating policies and procedures, and including potentially adding more committees to have a committee for essentially each department. So we might want to, we'll see how that conversation goes, of course, but we might want to put that on the planning calendar just to make sure to find a good spot to make that happen. Anything else? Okay. Well, with no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 8:34. Thank you, everyone.